I'd like to introduce now Justin Kelly. Justin has worked in a range of industries from accounting, information technology to education. Having recently worked as a web developer at Swinburne University Library for the last 5 years, working with Primo, Alma and other library web systems. His current role is a data engineer in the Business Analytics Department of Swinburne University, working with Tableau and the full range of Swinburne's databases and applications. He's now going to present to us on collection assessment, matching, yes, electronic and physical records. Please welcome Justin.
Firstly, thank you very much, Annette, and thank you, Jenny, and also thank you, Megan. So I'd just like to say thank you to the ANZREG committee for putting on this, and thank you from Monash. It's quite a big thing to do, and you guys don't get much recognition, so thanks for that to start with. I would just like to talk about matching electronic and physical collections, why you wanted to, or why you would do this, and I'd like to talk about the political as well as technical and process changes that may happen to a library if you go down this route. So I'm going to show a picture from a reference liaison meeting when we started talking about overlap analysis. Sorry. So when we started talking about overlap analysis or analysing electronic holdings and physical holdings, probably we did not communicate why we were doing this, and a lot of the liaison and reference librarians, I suppose, reacted quite angrily against that. And this is what they thought we were going to do to the library. So they were very upset, and probably rightfully, were very concerned about what was going to happen, thinking that once we know what items we have duplicates of, that we're just going to throw everything out. So I'd just like to talk about how, I suppose, we manage that process technically, and also just this change process as well. So the main question is, why would you want to look at an overlap analysis? What's the benefit to your library? For Swinburne, it was primarily a space consideration. We don't have much space, and space is always a premium. So some libraries have that concern as well. So our main one is, how can we use our limited library space better for the students overall, and not just for the books and that type of stuff. When we started looking at title matching, or overlap analysis as it's called, there was no feature in Alma to do that, and there was no options to easily do this in Alma or even in the old days. So we came up with a few different options on how we do it. I'll talk about the benefits of each of the different ones and the way we chose to do this, and how that's probably a bit different from the current process that's in Alma. So currently in Alma, if you do the overlap analysis or title analysis, it does title level matching. So we did not do this. We use ISBN matching, but this is an example of title level matching, and you can probably see the problems with title level matching. If you look at the first couple of records, they might be two different Alma IDs, the first one, but with the same title. And these are actually two different books, but they'll match in Alma currently, they'll match as the same item. And the same thing again, there's so many books in our collection called accounting, psychology, marketing, all that type of stuff, that title level matching, when we looked at it, wasn't something we'd want to do. But currently in Alma, this is pretty much the only way you can do overlap analysis, is by title. So that it does work, but you have a lot of issues with that title. So the method that we have used at Swinburne is ISBN matching. So Ex Libris specifically don't want to match on ISBN. They believe that electronic records don't have the good enough details, so the ISBNs in e-books are not rich enough. In our testing and development, we found that to be the opposite. The e-books do have enough cataloguing records to do very good matching. So this is an example. In ALMA, obviously an item can have many ISBNs, and the ISBNs can be for the electronic record as well. The same thing, that e-books can have the ISBNs for the physical record. So the first two records is just one record in ALMA that's got multiple IDs, and it matches an electronic record on one of those ISBNs. If you go further down to the one in yellow, this is where just to highlight that titles don't match for a lot of our records. So if you're doing title matching, the yellow one wouldn't match, because in ALMA they call it normalising the title, which is they just strip out punctuation, formatting, all that type of stuff. But so many of our records have got other stuff like 5th edition or whatever, or some other stuff in the title. So I suppose I don't think title matching is a great way, but at the moment it's the only way to do it through ALMA. Sure. The other type of title matching you can do is a combination, which we did look at, but we didn't go ahead with it. So this is matching where they don't match on ISBN, but they do match on title. So if you don't think your e-books have got good enough cataloguing records, do it this way. With title matching, if you do it yourself, your institution probably has to organise some business rules around how you match on title. Again, in ALMA, it's just a very simple matching, where it's just title stripped of formatting. But if you control it yourself, you can do where the title has got more than 3 words, or it's got more than 30 characters, or it doesn't say addition, or that type of stuff. If you match on title, you can miss out stuff such as journals, serials, all that type of stuff, which ISBN matching is much better for. So I'll just show you some of the number results as well. So this is some of our results. So I suppose we matched about 15 to 20% of our collection matched via ISBN. This is probably what preceded this level of matching was large purchases of ebook collections. And previously we had no real way to understand the overlap. So this is why this process was creating. So when we ran it the first time, it was about 20,000, maybe more than 20,000 items that we found were duplicated. Once we identified them as duplicated records, then we created business rules around this to understand what we would weed, what we would keep, and what we would do with those records. And one other thing, the second line is another 5,000 matched on title but not ISBN. So this be using the same type of ALMA title matching. But we didn't look at those records because they weren't deemed good enough. There was only about 20% of those title matches that were actually valid. Most of them were totally different records but just matched on title. So again, we did not look at title matching. Now, we had a few different processes to handle those. What do you do with your duplicates? I mean, every institute's probably got a different way. You've got your lovely ARC, so you can probably chuck it all in there.
Just keep it all.
Yeah, so we had a couple of different. We've done title matching process 2 times. Well, the first time we moved about 20,000 books, I think it was, to a separate library, one of our other branches. And we kept them in Primo, so they were still holdable students could place holds on them. And we just tracked those. So we put in a lot of work to ensure that, that we could transit the books back if there was a huge demand, that type of stuff. So as far as I'm aware, there was not a large demand to bring those books back. So now we've done a second batch earlier this year, moves about 15,000 over to Cairn. and it was initially put it in Primo as off-site. So it will show up in Primo still, and it will just say that this book is off-site and the student can place a hold on it. But currently, I think we've now suppressed those records in Primo. So if you do a search, you'll only see the electronic record. And librarians and other have access to pull those records back from CALM. But you can see from the bottom one, 15,000 books went to CALM, and there's only been 278 that have come back. So at the moment they're being totally suppressed, and only librarians can pull them back. So in total, that's probably about 30% of our collection that has been moved or weeded based on business rules without much pushback from faculties or librarians. And this is obviously based on whatever business rules make sense to us. It might be based on this item hasn't been loaned for 3 years, or it's a past edition, so maybe all past editions were immediately gone. Then if the latest edition hasn't been loaned out in the last year, and that type of stuff. So there was many different business rules to ensure that this process was done correctly. So whatever books we had on the shelf were, I suppose, the most needed ones. If we ever did need them back, we can get them back. But anyway, even if we had to repurchase 300 books, the cost of that is minimal compared to the space saving that we can get from reducing 30% of our physical collection. So where are we right now? Currently, again, we've done our second batch of analysis. First 2 batches were done using our own technologies, which I'll talk about a bit later on. When probably in the future, we're still dealing with the analysis at the moment of how many items are coming back and that type of stuff, and what the impact of our collection is. But in the future, we'll probably just use ALMA-based title matching, probably because we've weeded the collection so heavily that we're pretty happy enough just to use ALMA title matching. I'll talk about that a bit later why, but probably we don't have as many duplicates now as we did. So whatever's left is small enough that title matching should be accurate enough. With ALMA title matching, again, as I said, is very simplistic. It's just on the normalised title. It would be great if Ex Libris could either extend it to ISBN matching, which I don't think they will, but I think if you're going to do title matching, then you need to be able to have business rules in ALMA so that the titles are longer than X or various type of things, or where they're these fuzzy type matching of titles. Because currently it's too simplistic and it's not good enough if you're going to needs too much manual intervention if you're going to weed a collection as heavily as I suppose some people probably want to do at the moment. So I'll just talk about our process at the moment. So all the code that we developed for this process is available online. So currently it's just what we do is export all our electronic holdings as Mark XML, then export all our physical holdings as Mark XML in whichever libraries we want to read. Then we run a script over those two to compare to put all the ISBNs and all the records into a database. Then we run some standard SQL over the database to see where the duplicates are. And once they're in a database, it's very easy to do various type of title matching or ISBN matching or various things like that. Does anyone have any questions before I talk about any other stuff on title matching? No? That's okay. Again, all the code is available, but it is a bit labour intensive to run this code. So we've only done it about twice in the last couple of years, and because as we've weeded so heavily, we'll probably just use the ALMA even though we don't like it that much, we'll just stick with ALMA. Because it can take a day or two to run all those scripts. It takes so long to analyse all the MARC records for all our electronic versus all our physical, so it can be a bit too labour intensive. And we've ran it, I suppose, earlier this year, and our librarians are still working through that list at the moment. So we're pretty happy to, whatever the small subset of records is left, to use the ALMA title matching. But if you were looking at this to start with, I would suggest looking at ISBN matching first. It's a lot better than title matching, but there is manual work to be done. So you need people to export all the records, and as well as some systems people to run scripts or develop custom scripts for you guys to analyse those records. And that is the end of my presentation. But I would just like to say, again, ISBN title matching is a really, really useful thing if you're looking at space saving or reducing your physical collection. Thank you.